Hey everybody, Mr. Morel here, and today in this video we're going to continue our series about matrices and trying to bridge the gap between matrix world and, as I promised in the last video, we're eventually going to connect matrix stuff to systems of equations, which is kind of cool. So to get there, we're having to take a few steps in between, including this video, obviously. So in this video, I'm going to teach you about something called the determinant. Okay, so just a quick reminder, our goal right now, when I last saw you or when we last talked in these videos or in class, we're trying to find an inverse. And an inverse is going to be the matrix that I can multiply by a matrix. So if I had the 1, 2, 3, 4 matrix, what could I multiply that by to end up with the identity matrix that's the 1, 0, 0, 1 matrix? So in your last homework, you tried a couple of wrong answers. We still haven't found the right answer. We've tried a few wrong answers. We know that they're wrong. We can rule them out and move them to the side. Before I can teach you how to find the inverse, like the actual inverse, this lesson is about something called the determinant. And we're going to need the determinant to get to the inverse. Okay, so determinant, it's going to help us get to the inverse. But even more than that, it's actually going to help us determine if an inverse even exists, because it turns out that not all matrices have an inverse. So this lesson is going to teach you how to find a determinant and how to use that determinant to figure out, is there even an inverse? Because if there's no inverse, then why are we even doing this? Okay, so with that in mind, let me just give you the formula. A determinant is actually just going to be a single number. It's not even a matrix. It's just a number. So the determinant of the A, B, C, D matrix is this formula. You're going to multiply diagonals. So A times D would be first. Then we're going to multiply the other diagonals. B times, times C. And then you're going to subtract those two. And that's going to give you a number, and this magical number is called the determinant. So AD minus BC, that's a formula you're going to need to memorize. Okay, AD times BC, that's the determinant. Let's do a couple practices. We'll start with our regular matrix that we've seen a lot, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I'm going to find this determinant, and notice how I'm kind of writing this, determinant of matrix A. This is going to be a notation that you'll see a bunch. Okay, so we're going to start by doing 1 times 4 is 4, minus 2 times 3 is 6. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. The determinant of this matrix is the number negative 2. That's exciting, right? Now, let's practice a couple more determinants, and then I'm going to tell you how I can use that number to determine if an inverse even exists. So let's try another one. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6, minus 7 times negative 1. Be very careful here, because it's minus negative 7. So negative 6 minus negative 7, remember that's the same as negative 6 plus a positive 7, is the number 1. So the determinant of this matrix is the number 1. Okay? Now, how do you tell if an inverse even exists? We're trying to figure out what is the inverse of the 1, 2, 3, 4 matrix. We know the determinant is negative 2, so what does that tell us? How do I know that that means that there's an inverse or not? Here's the rule. A matrix has an inverse. It will have an inverse if and only if the determinant is not 0. So a different way to think of that is, if the determinant of a matrix is 0, there is no inverse. There's not even worth trying. Doesn't exist. Okay? So as we continue on, we know that this determinant was negative 2. So yeah, it's going to have an inverse, and you're going to find out how to find that inverse in the next lesson. Okay? So what about our second example? Our second example had a determinant of 1. Yeah, so it does have an inverse. We just don't know how to find it yet, but we're going to. Now let's try another one. Does this inverse exist? Well, let's see. Negative 6 times negative 2 is 12, minus 4 times 3 is 12. Oh, so 12 minus 12 equals 0. If I tried to find an inverse of this, it's not going to happen. There is no inverse to this matrix. It's impossible. You'll never find a matrix to multiply by this matrix to get you the 1, 0, 0, 1 matrix. Doesn't exist. Okay? So let's look at this. One more slide. Oh, that was it. So that's your lesson. Remember, to find the determinant, it's this corner first, multiply, then subtract, multiplying these ones. So A, D minus B, C. Here's kind of a dumb way to remember that. When we talk about years, like we are in the year, when I'm recording this video, it's the year 2020 AD. A lot of times if you're like reading the Bible or something, those have years BC. So kind of a weird thing. AD is now, minus BC is in the past. I don't know. See if that is useful or not. Okay, thank you guys for watching. I hope that was helpful. Get excited. In the next video, we will find the inverse matrices. We're going to find the inverses. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.